Hi, welcome back. It's Dawn. Today I'm making, I call them paper rosettes. I'm sure there's another fancier name for these, but they are the fan fold paper that I've stacked these two on top of each other, and I'm using some pretty decent cardstock. I was just going to show you some bigger ones because I think it's really simple to make the little ones. But I wanted to kind of show you my process, and in case somebody wants to know how to do these. These are, let's see, 3-inch, no. This is a 4-inch rosette. This is a 3-inch rosette. And then you'll see on these, I used a edge punch. Anything you've got will work. It doesn't have to be any particular kind of edge punch, just whatever you have handy. Or you can leave them plain, like I did this one. This one I left plain. This guy is a whopping 15-inch, I think. Yeah, it's a 15-incher, and maybe it's closer to 16 now that it's actually made. But what you do, the hardest part about this is figuring out what size you want to make and how much paper you need. So I'm going to make another big one. Now this one I did on the 1/2-inch fold. You will need a scoreboard at some point. It doesn't have to be this one, just any scoreboard. They make some little ones, or you could just get a ruler and mark it with a pencil and do it yourself. But the scoreboard is easier if you're using cardstock, and I like the cardstock because then it's sturdy and it holds up. And this is almost too big even to be in camera. Look at this big boy. He's huge. So I've grabbed some other paper and I have no idea. Oh, one other thing you're going to need is a circle punch of some kind. Just to make the circles to go, and a little bit of glue, some hot glue or some paper glue, depending on how much time you got to sit and hold it. So what I did was I started off with some paper I have in my stash. This is old Bo Bunny paper from I think 2015, so don't go trying to find it because it's been out of print for 2015, for a long time. And I decided I was going to make this one. Of course I'm going to make it complicated because it has the pattern in it rather than a pattern that cares what side you're using. But what I'm doing is I'm going to take 6-inch pieces of paper, and this is going to make roughly a 12-inch rosette. So whatever the size of rosette you want to do strips of paper that are half of that size. You want a 4-inch rosette, 2 inches. You want a 6-inch rosette, you're going to want your strips of paper 3 inches wide. And then I'll show you just real quick what I'm doing. And I'm not exactly sure. There is a formula that I usually use, that is however wide of a rosette you want. So let's say you want a 6-inch wide rosette, that you want to take that number 6, the width of the rosette. This guy's 15. And you want to multiply that by 6, and that's how many inches of paper you need. Well, that is a big number, people. So I think the bigger when you're doing small ones, that works. When you're doing a 3-inch wide rosette, that absolutely works, because then you take 3 times 6 and you need 18 inches of paper before you fan fold it, not after, before you fan fold it. This 4-inch rosette, you take 4 times 6, that means you need 24. So you need 2 strips of 12-inch paper, right? That's 2 inches wide by 12. You need 2 of those. The bigger you get, that times 6 thing goes down. I don't know why. I'm sure somebody out there could explain it to me better, but I did not end up using as much paper as it told me I would need for this big behemoth guy. Big Bertha over here. By the way, I'm making these for 4th of July, so that's why it's the red, white, and blue themes. And so I'm unsure exactly of how much paper I'm going to ultimately need for a 6. And I'm making notes, by the way, with oh, I cut that wrong. Well, you know what? This is just going to be an example, a sample piece, so that you can see. It's supposed to be 6, and I think I cut it anyway. I'm talking instead of paying attention. As I'm making each of these, I'm keeping a little piece of paper off to the side, and I'm writing down, okay, what did that take? just to make sure, because I want to be able to keep track of, all right, a 15-inch wide rosette, I only ended up using 12, let's see, 24, 48, plus another 24. I kept adding a strip until and then I would, you know, kind of go, is that enough? Is that enough? Does it look full enough? No, it needs more. 12, 48, so 60. So I ended up using 70 inches on this 50-inch wide guy. So it, yeah, you're watching in real time as I kind of work this out in my head on this 6-inch guy. But I'm pulling out 5 sheets. I think I'll need 5 sheets. So anyway, stop chattering and start showing. So I'm just going to mark it every inch. It's just pretty straightforward. Inch. And there's a couple of key things to keep in mind outside of the orientation of your paper. If there's an orientation, I don't recommend starting with a paper that has an orientation. To be honest, I probably should use a different paper for this demo. There's 2 things that you've got to keep in mind when you're doing this. One is whether you're going to fold this guy up or whether you're going to fold this guy down. Fold it down or fold it up. And I'll show you why. The first one isn't going to matter. First one's a freebie. And I like using a hard surface like I'm using here to do my folding. And I'm just going to start. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to be off camera. Let me see if I can push this camera up a little bit higher, because I'm actually using the edge of my table right here. All right, I'm going to have to move this guy, and there's stuff in the way, and this is going to be a little bumpy. I apologize. Get ready. Bump in 3, 2, 1. Hopefully. Okay, yeah. Now you can see the edge of my desk. All right, so I fold the first fold. When you're using cardstock, this gets hard to fold, and I'm going to show you why the edge of my desk is important here in a second. I am actually grabbing my thumbs. Still not close, but I can slide you now. There we go. I am using the edge of my desk to put my, I'm hooking my thumbs under. Demoing is better when you can see what I'm demoing. I'm hooking my thumbs under, and then I'm using my fingers to press, because this paper is so stiff. Can you use a lighter paper? Absolutely. I go over and then I go back, and then I pull it over here, and then I just kind of see, and then this to get some good crisp lines. Could you use a bone folder? Sure. Do you have to? It's just an extra step, and I'm already doing this, so why not, right? Okay, so there's one. Now, this guy, I'm going to push it back now. This guy is, yeah, I'm going to need more paper than I thought. This guy is tails up. Do you see that? These tails are up. The next one needs to go tails down, because you're going to have to marry them. You're going to have to glue them together. So let me show you tails down. Doesn't matter how you started, but now it matters how you go next. So if you have them tails up, now you got to go tails down. How do you do that? Really simple. You fold it down like that, tails down, right? So that then you can glue these. Now you can use glue dots, you can use Elmer's glue, you can use super glue, hot glue gun. I personally love art glitter glue. You can use any glue you got. If it's wet, then you're going to want to make sure you don't use too much of it, because you don't want the paper warping on you. Okay, so now this is getting thick, so I'm using the edge of my desk just to finish the fold, and this gets you a nice crease. So we'll do a couple of these. So now we've got tail down, right? And I just nicknamed it right here on the fly. You watched it. Now we need a tail up. Now don't worry if you screw it. Oh, see, now I got it going. I got to go in this way though. See, I want the center on mine, because mine is pattern specific, and it's not going to match up, and that's okay. I'm not going to get real worked up over that, because when it's all folded together, I don't think it's going to matter, but I think these radiating points into the middle is going to matter. But that was my bad for picking this paper for a demo. All right, so for the next one, I can either go tails up or tails down because I have a tail up here and a tail down here. So it just isn't gonna matter. So I'm just gonna and this paper isn't too bad. This last guy, I think maybe because it was a 1/2 inch, man, I really had to use the edge of my table a lot to really make that paper sit down and behave itself. Okay, now this guy ended up being tails up, so I'm going to do it there. Okay, now I have both of these are tails up, so now I need to do this next one tails down so that it goes in sequence. And this gets kind of methodical, I guess is the right word at this point, because it's or tedious. This is certainly something you can do watching TV. You can prep all your strips and just sit and fan fold. And if you screw it up and you get like all of them going the wrong direction, you can always trim it. You could just take one piece off, and now and you'll have to take a piece off each end, but that's fine. All right, let's do one more, and then, oh nope, I got 2 more. Let's do those, and then I'm going to show you the gluing. All right, now I want to do, like I said, this is kind of straightforward. So I'm doing these for 4th of July. I like the Americana look. I decorate a little vestibule, a little foyer in my house. I do a little entry table there. And then in my main living room, great room area, I've got a big hutch that I change out seasonally. Okay, so this guy's tails down, this guy's tails down. So both of these need to be tails up in the event it's going to complete the curve. So just stop and take a moment and pay attention. When you're getting to the last 1 or 2, you can be watching TV for the first couple, but then for the last couple, you're going to need to stop and go, okay, how many tails up do I have? How many tails down do I have? Just to make sure you end up, or just be prepared to trim. All right, so these guys are tails up. All right, got it. Now, let's glue. So it's pretty straightforward. It's just glue, people. Elmer's tape runner, just whatever you got. Collage Medium by Tim Holtz. That's a pretty good. There's a new one by and what you want is the outside. If you have any kind of discrepancy on the, you want the outside ones to match. The inside are not going to matter because they're going to be covered up by this circle. Okay, so the outside edge is the one that matters, and in mine I'm making sure that the inside radius is here. Okay, so let's carry on. And then I'm going to show you how you test to see, do I have enough? Because if you just want to fly by the seat of your pants, which is absolutely fine, you can do that too. Yeah, I really cut some of these badly, but that's okay. We are not going to get worried or worked up over it. All right, so I had to flip this one around because the rays were going the wrong way. And I don't like hot glue for this part because I find that hot glue gets bulky. I use hot glue for the middle, but I do not use hot glue for the pleats. And you may have to, where you glued, you may have to go back and just remind it, oh, here's how you pleat. Because when you put the glue on it, it goes, ah. Yep, that's an official term. Ah. All right, now let's do a pleat up, and it sprung back on. So the second part, the first hard part is thinking not hard part, but part to pay attention is tails up, tails down. The second part is going to be getting this, wrangling this guy. It's like herding cats sometimes into a circle. And I'm going to show you a couple things. There's some tutorials out there on how some people do it. I'm going to tell you that mine is mostly just a, here, this should work kind of approach. Just a strong arm it, I guess, is the right way to describe that. Now, I do not glue the full circle yet. I'm just going to, I'm going to do a dress rehearsal. I'm going to audition the length is what I'm doing next. If you're not using a formula and you're just winging it, which is kind of what I'm doing with this size because I haven't made one of this size yet. And I know the formula, but I don't want to cut that much paper. I'm a little bit of a paper snob. I want to keep my, not snob, but hoarder. I'm a paper hoarder. All right, so I sometimes will get a couple paper clips to help me with this next part. I'm going to back this up just a skosh. Sorry. All right, so now our goal is to get it into a circle, right? Right. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to just paper clip these guys just so that I can kind of keep a circle without gluing it. This gives me a do-over in case I don't have enough paper or I did something wrong, which I possibly did. I'm looking, no, maybe I didn't. Okay. All right. Now, on smaller ones, you can just like use your hands to fold it in. These bigger ones, that doesn't work so well. So I grab a bunch like this, right? And then I just start making it lay. I physically go down, boy. Okay, and then I hold it with my fingers and I kind of look at it and go, enough? Not enough? Good? More? Less? A couple of things to think about. Now, if you let go of this, it's going to spring out on you like a can of, what were those cans when we were kids? Where you'd open them up and the slinky things would come spewing out like the little snakes. Anyway, one of the things you got to remember is you're going to need to glue all this together. And the way you do that is you're going to use hot glue. It's the only time I use hot glue. Almost always use white glue. But this is one of the few times. I could almost use another. So you're going to use hot glue in the middle. And that's kind of how I I kind of look at my fan. You know, is it enough? Do I want less? Do I want more? Could I have done this with 4 instead of 5? Did I do 5? I forget how many I did. 6? Did I do 6? I don't remember. Yeah, I should have paid attention because now I can't write my notes. I think I'm happy with that size. I don't think I want any more. So what I'm going to do is turn my glue gun on. I have this little, yeah. What I should have done before I started this was cut my circles. So I'm going to put that there. Hope it holds it. I'm going to grab my circle cutter. The bigger the rosette, the bigger your circles are going to need to be. I'm going to grab some blue paper. And these will likely get covered by colored paper, so this won't be my final circle. I will probably put something red on here, or I might end up putting another, not this size obviously, but or I could totally put that on top. But you can use craft paper for this part. You can use whatever you've got on hand. I've got this blue, I don't even know what this is. It's not cardstock, it's lighter than that, but it's not construction paper either. So I'm going to cut a couple of circles here. Ooh. All right, got my circles. Yeah, I ended up using using 6 of those circles because I just looked and to see how many pages I have. I use 6 of the strips, 6 by 6 strips. So I have 36 on this guy. Okay, stop babbling, start gluing. Now, if you have a friend that can help you, kind of like when you're wrapping a present. Oh, we gotta finish gluing this guy. We didn't glue him down. Oh, that would have been not disastrous, but it's helpful if you finish gluing it. Once you've done your audition, and you're satisfied with the size, then you got to go back and do this again. Remember, keep your inside the same. Sorry, your outside the same. Inside does not matter because the inside's going to be covered up by that circle. So if you don't cut your paper just right, not a problem. All right. Now, back to the wrangle thing. I grabbed 3 or 4 sections of pleats and get myself a nice little fistful here. And then I get them to sit down. Hopefully. There we go. And then let it kind of splay back out. This is a bit of a finessing job, and I'm not sure that me paying attention to the way the paper went would have made any difference in how this paper looks, how this rosette looks. It just looks how it looks. It appears. All right, so now you see I got a little bitty, I want to bring you down closer. You see I've got this little bitty hole right here. I'm going to pull some out so you can see it, right? So I've pushed it in there. What I'm going to do is open it up just a skosh. And now I'm going to take my glue gun, and you need to be on a surface that is going to release for you. Something that's non-stick. And I am going to, well, glue gun's not hot enough yet. I thought I turned it on soon enough. I've got this little guy too, but I don't like him as well. He warms up quicker though. Let me turn him on for a second. This is a neat idea. Sorry, Ryobi, I love your stuff. Neat idea, bad design. I don't like it, and the only way I can use it is upside down. But it warms up super quick compared to this granddaddy one who's taking, I've had him on long enough. He should be hot, and he is not. All right, well, you can just sit there and think about what you've done while we go play with the little guy. A little stubby over here. Let's see if we can get stubby to go. Yeah, see how fast he went? Now what I do is I fill up the middle a little bit, you know, like a big squirt of olive oil kind of thing, and then now I'm going to scooch it in, right? And then I'm going to top it. And I'm going to give it a second or two to let it kind of set up. And because it's touching my non-stick craft mat, my self-healing mat, it's stuck to that. But I'm just sitting here spinning it, and it will turn itself loose, okay? And now we're going to flip it over. And now we're going to fill in that hole. Can you see that hole? And we're going to put the back circle on. Man, this design, the little lever that you use to extrude the glue is just not super great. Now this one you want to be fast on, because if you're not super fast, you're going to have a lumpy, bumpy situation, which I don't care for. Yes, that was me dropping. And then you're going to hold it, and it is going to be HOT warm when you're holding this. So if you have sensitive fingers, put another piece of paper in between you and it. Just grab something else so that you don't burn yourself. My fingers don't mind. I'm going to back you up a little bit now. Okay, now from here you can layer them, and then you obviously can cut another circle to go over top of this to be decorative, or you can just put a decorative circle on top. Just use the same size punch or slightly larger and put over top, and then attach a little string to the back, and you can hang it. I have several hanging from from picture frames that have stuff behind it, but you don't need to care what's behind it because it just it shows up. So that's that is paper rosette making 101, and it's for big paper rosettes. I mean, there's lots of things you can buy out there that helps you make the little ones, but how do you make the bigger ones? Here you go. Anyway, that's what I've been doing today, and I just wanted to turn my camera on and show you. It kind of does a little neat pattern with those yeah. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you again soon. Bye. I just wanted to jump back on here real quick, even though I'd already signed off, and show you where I stacked 4 of them. And these are all ones I've made, and as you can see there, it's quite the stack. But again, this is about 16 inches. This one's about a foot. This guy is, let's go that way. This guy's about 8, and then that one's about 4. And so I just glued them all together, and then I attached them with a little string here and just stapled it on. And then this guy I did, you know, kind of similar, but yeah, these are gonna go up just as, you know, 4th of July decor, and all I did was just pull paper out of my scrap pile and make a bunch of fan folds. So anyway, hope you give this a try. Thanks. See you soon. Bye.